I've always been close to like my Colombian side of the family. I've been to Colombia like 10 times. But I've been to Ecuador and we went to like Baños and like all these other different places and it was really nice. But you're fully Ecuadorian?
I'm 100% Ecuadorian. Yes, I was born in Ecuador. Yes.
Wow. Where in Ecuador?
I'm from Cuenca. That's what people are really known for. Yeah, Cuenca. So
Okay.
it's further south compared to Ambato. But yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Therapists Unmasked. Today we have a very special guest. Please introduce yourself, tell us your name, what you do for work, where you're from, and what your views are on mental health.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Doris Tenesaca, and what I do for work, essentially, I am a communication specialist. And my thoughts on mental health is that I believe it's a topic that's still a little uncomfortable for a lot of people to talk about, specifically coming from an Ecuadorian background. It's definitely something that we really can't bring up as, comfortably as we would love, especially coming from the older generations where they really didn't know much about it. So I think it definitely comes from an area of just not knowing what it is. But yeah, definitely. That's what my initial thoughts are on mental health.
I'm also part Ecuadorian, and I understand having a parent who just doesn't understand. So tell me about like what your family's views are on mental health. If you are comfortable with like sharing your emotions, like with your family and things like that.
So yeah, definitely. So personally, I have never seen a therapist myself. Probably should, but it's definitely something that I think has become a topic that we talk about more readily now, just because I feel like we have gotten to a point in our lives, especially like my family and I. In total, we're six. We're all over 20, and I feel like it's something that now we can kind of conversate about in terms of like just how we're feeling. I feel like growing up, it was a topic that we felt comfortable talking about just because we were all like busy. Like my parents were just working, working, working. I was going to school, going to work and stuff like that. So I don't think we had the time to do it. And it's like now that we all are all adults, we can actually take the time and be like, okay, how are you feeling? But growing up, it was definitely not like that. And I feel like, again, it's coming from a perspective of my parents just didn't know what it was about. It wasn't until my younger brother, actually, until he went through somewhat of I don't want to call it traumatic, but it was definitely a very big change in his life where my parents were advised for him to go see a therapist. So that's when they were first introduced to that. They didn't know what it was, they were just like, oh, you have to go see a therapist. But and they kind of dropped him off, picked him up because he was under 18 at that point. But other than that, yeah, not much exposure. But it's funny. My mom now, she's 48. She finally spoke about it. She was like, I think I might benefit from this. And I was like, wow, that's coming from an Ecuadorian mom who grew up in Ecuador. It's amazing. So yeah, definitely that.
So would you go to therapy?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Oh, for me, you know what it is? It's funny. I'm usually the person that people come to, and I'm like, I think I'm in the wrong field. I love to listen to people's stories, and maybe that's what ties me into, being engaged in the music industry, if you will. I just love listening to people's stories because for me, I'm like, it's like almost like inspiring because obviously at the end, they start with their struggles and stuff like that. But I love just kind of being able to talk with them and kind of giving them a realistic but also positive outlook in life because I feel like that's what's helped me. Like, yes, obviously I still have my struggles and stuff like that, but I've been blessed also to have a family that's very much there's a funny meme going around. It's like, we listen, but we don't judge. And there's kind of like them, like, they're really there. Like they will listen to you. And, especially my sister-in-law who just joined the family like a year ago, like they will listen to you and they will kind of just, again, just kind of give that positive outlook in life. So like when I sit down with them, I'm not like, I know a lot of people when they talk about their families, they're just like, I don't want to share any problems with them. But yes, to answer your question, Ashley, I do definitely need to see someone just because at the same time, obviously, it's also great to see someone outside of your family because,
For sure.
they're looking at you with fresh eyes, if you will.
You said that you're in the music industry. So
Yeah.
tell us more about that.
Yeah, definitely. I love to joke about this. I'm like, I kind of live like Hannah Montana. You know, I have my day-to-day Monday through Friday job, and then I have my other job that thankfully I can now call a job because, you know, it has given me an income as well, and that's being in the music. So I belong to a Ecuadorian group based here in New York called Los Reyes del Austria, which is very hard to say, so I'm just gonna say it for you guys. And you know, it's funny now that you actually mention it. You know, you asked me if I have gone to therapy and stuff like that. In a way, music has become like my sanctuary. It's definitely become a way for me to express my feelings, whether it be on stage, just, you know, dancing and singing, or whether it be just being in my bedroom writing songs. That has definitely helped me kind of cope with the struggles in life. So definitely a light in my life.
So, for a little background, I've known Doris for almost 10 years now, since we were in babies in college. And from the moment I met her till now, she's always been the hardest worker that I've ever met. She's always been this busy, like always doing things, always being occupied. Since the moment that she told me that she was in this group, till now, I've just seen a growth within her, that it's more of a, she's always been a confident person, but this is just beyond that. Just seeing her perform is, she looks like she's in her world. What I want to know is, how do you, as somebody who was never in the spotlight, go into something so quickly and easily? Because from the moment that I met you till now, I felt like this has just, I've seen the hard work that you put in, the dedication, but it all happened so quickly.
Just to give you guys, you know, you two a background or a little bio, if you will. The band itself has been I'm sorry, the band is actually family owned. So, you know, half the members in the band are actually my family members. My three brothers are all in the band as well. So I've been around the music, if you will, the music industry elements since I was 5. You know, my dad's also a musician too. So I remember just being 6 years old and him been dragging me to his shows here in New York. And it was, you know, it was my life. You know, people are like, how do you stay up until 4 a.m.? I'm like, I've been doing it since I was 5. So it's definitely something that, you know, has kind of been like, you know, in my blood, if you will, since I was very young. And I was growing up, I was extremely shy. Like, you know, I wouldn't even want to go in family parties and dance with people because I would start crying. Like, I was so shy that I remember, like, you know, my dad would always be like, come on, go sing a song in front of, like, you know, your brothers. And I'd start crying. I'm like, no, I don't want to, you know? And I think that part of me always, kind of stayed with me just a little bit, just in smaller doses, if you will. So, you know, a lot of people don't know this. They're like, you know, you kind of chose to be in the band. I kind of didn't. It was weird. You know, I was kind of thrown into it. Like, you know, one day my brother decided to just kind of, because the band was always boys, hence the name Los Reyes. It's technically referring to guys. And then one day he decides to kind of make a feature with one girl who's no longer part of the band. And then he kind of just was like, hey, Doris, like, do second voices. And I was like, okay, but it was like in our house. And next thing you know, I'm on stage. I'm like, I think I have blurred that part of my life out. I literally, and I ask him to this day, I'm like, did I ever say like, yes, I want to be part of the band? And he's like, I don't think you did. I'm like, great. So lo and behold, I was on stage. And if I ever find that video, I will post it just so everybody gets a great laugh. Because I was probably like, compared to how I am now, I was staring down at my feet. I was not smiling. I think I like mumbled what I was supposed to be singing. I was like, how did people not take me off stage? Because it was terrible. It was so bad. And literally after that performance, I was like, wow, I did it. You know, I was like, take a deep breath. I did it. This woman came up to us and she, you know, she was talking to the band and she was like, you know, at that point it was 3 girls and 5 boys. And then she looked up to the musicians, who were all boys, and she's like, you guys did amazing. You know, you guys are great. And then she looks up to the girls and she's like, you guys need work. Like, you guys sucked. And we were like, and I swear to my life, after that performance, my brother's like, let's go grab lunch. You know, this is our first performance. This is a new era. I went home and I cried. Like, it was bad. And I was like, I'm done. I'm like, this is why I didn't want to be in the band. And then, I don't know. I think it's just like, once you find a spark, even if it's a tiny, tiny spark, it grows with you. And I'm not even joking. It was like, again, my family, it was my brothers. They're like, no, 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 you got to stay here. Like, they saw something in me that I didn't even know. Because again, if you saw that first video, you'd be like, why are you on stage? Like, but they saw something in me, especially my brother, who's the pianist. He kept on pushing me. So it was not it was not like an easy transition where like one day I woke up and I'm like, I want to be in the music industry. It wasn't. It was kind of like, the music was in me. However, it took me a lot, especially like, there's a topic that I covered, how to overcome like negative comments, or how to deal with them, if you will, because they're always going to be there. But that took me, like, I've been in the band now 5 years, almost 6. That took me like 4 years to even learn how to just go through a comment session and be okay with just reading one negative comment. So it was definitely not an easy transition. And I'm grateful now that people see that I enjoy doing it, because I'm like, like the hills that I had to kind of overcome to get to where I am now is just, people don't see it. And I don't expect people to see it, but it's definitely not like something that, again, you just wake up and you're like, well, for me at least, like, I didn't wake up and I was like, this is what I want to do. It was something that, the universe kind of put together for me, and I'm just rolling with it now. So, yeah.
And that's honestly like really surprising that you say that, because like I said earlier, like in my eyes, you're a very confident person. And from the moment I met you, you were like that. I want to ask you in regards to those negative comments, how does that affect your mental health? Because I know seeing those comments, at least for me, that's always been my fear, reading comments and being like, and seeing the negativity that people have towards it. So how do you handle all of that?
Oh, definitely, definitely. So in the beginning, like I said, it was definitely shocking. Since I was very young, I've always been an optimistic person. I'm like, everybody just live your life, have a good time. And so I think that's why, I took a while to kind of join this world of music, because I knew that was going to come with it, especially kind of, being in the spotlight, being in front of, an audience. You really can't control what they're going to say. So it took me a while. And I think the reason I got to where I am now is because at the end of the day, I feel like if you don't believe in your own, ability to grow and your own talent, then no one really is going to believe it. And that, again, thanks to my family, thanks to their kind of them pushing me to just kind of grow, that has helped me a lot. And also, this is something that I feel like, after my, my 25th birthday, in my late 20s, now I'm realizing that, at the end of the day, and I live by this. I don't know, Sam, if you've ever heard me say this in like any of my lives or anything like that, but I'm like, I live by like kind of the saying, and I'm going to butcher it now, but the way I phrase it is essentially like, I have to focus on what I can control, because if I focus on what I can't control, then it's really going to eat you up. So again, I'm like, I focus on what I can control, and then the rest I leave it to the universe. Because, kind of just energy is very precious. And I have to figure out where I want to kind of put my energy. And if I put my energy on focusing on these negative comments, then essentially that's what I'm going to surround myself with, But if I focus my energy on the positive, and the fact that people are actually taking their time to comment and be like, oh my God, like, you're great, whatever, that's going to build me. Focusing on the negative comments, and there is a difference between negative comments and also constructive criticism. There's definitely a difference there. If I focus on the comments that are essentially just negative, that give no solution, if you will, then that's just gonna eat me up. So it definitely took some time to get to where I am now. And now again, I'm like, if I see a negative comment, I giggle a little bit, because I'm like, you know what? You took the time out of your precious life to leave something negative when, you could have done something great for yourself. So I look at the comment. Again, if it's constructive criticism, I take it, with a grain of salt. But if it's just coming from a negative place, then again, I'm like, I can't control what you do. And sometimes I say that to the person. I'm like, okay, you know what? You feel this way, great. How about, taking some time for yourself? So it's definitely, it hasn't been an easy process, but I think now I'm to the point in my life where I'm like, I have bigger things to worry about. So you go ahead and comment. I'll just go on with my life. I'll continue to do what I'm doing, because apparently people agree, that I seem to be pretty good at. So that's how essentially I deal with that as well, with the negative comments.
Mm-hmm.
Now, being in a band can come with the pressures of like rehearsals and performances and public expectations, right? Like, how do
Yes.
you manage stress related to these aspects, and like, how does that affect your mental health?
Oh, no, definitely. So for me, overall, again, like I mentioned in the beginning, I'm like, music is really kind of my stress reliever, you know? In the beginning, we were doing it for free, and I joke about it to this day with my brothers. I'm like, I would still do it for free. So I still get shocked when my brother's like, "Here's your paycheck," and I'm like, "What? For like going up and having fun? Cool, you know." So for me, music is definitely a place where I was, where I initially was able to kind of go into and just kind of forget about life. I will admit though, as we've been growing, thankfully, to our fan base, as we've been growing, I'm starting to notice small stressors involving like the band being more of a business now. So like now it's becoming, what once was a hobby is now becoming, a small business. So now I'm just like, now I'm dealing with the small stressors. They're not again. I would 100% go to perform a show, then go somewhere else. But that part of it is still like my favorite part. But like now it's like the behind the scenes stuff, like, the administration stuff, looking out for sponsors, looking out for partnerships, like that's what we're starting to do now. And like, of course, I was the one that was thrown into it because I have experience in that. But, so music for me really is still a place though, even if those little stressors are there, where I still go in and kind of like, after a bad day. We have rehearsals on Wednesday nights, every single Wednesday nights, and I could be exhausted. Like even driving from work to rehearsal, I'm like, I need to sleep, I need a nap. But as soon as I walk in the door, I'm like, oh, all right, let's get it going, So you would never tell like in a rehearsal that I'm tired. If you tell me like Doris, fall asleep, I would fall asleep like in 2 seconds. But other than that, I'm like literally, I'm like loving every single minute of rehearsal or whatever is involving music, if you will.
So you said that performing it's really a big way to express yourself, right? But when you're on that stage, do you experience a sense of release or vulnerability when you're performing at all?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Don't get me wrong. Before stage, I'm like freaking out. I still get nervous. Like I'm still like, oh my god, like what if the band, like what if no one applauds? What if no one sings? Like what is gonna happen? Like before every single show, and maybe that's just like my inner child still freaking out. Again, maybe it's that timidness that I had growing up, but I still freak out, I am quote unquote, again, the band now has 5 girls in total and 6 boys now, so we've grown. I'm technically in charge of, the girls, if you will, like I'm the one who takes care of like choreography, outfits and just making sure that they're okay as well. So I'm kind of like their older sister. I am the oldest one, which is crazy, but so I have to keep my composure. Like I can't be like, oh my god, I'm freaking out. Like girls, like we're gonna, I'm like, no, we got this, But inside, I'm freaking out a little bit. But as soon as I get on stage, I literally, as soon as I hear the first drop, it's like everything. The shyness is just gone. The nervousness is just gone. I don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is. It takes like, just seeing one smile from one, person that kind of just everything just goes away.
Absolutely. And, you know, for anybody who is passionate about music or even like pursuing a career like this, like what mental health advice would you give to help them to like maintain a balance of well-being while also chasing their dreams?
No, definitely. I think that in terms of chasing dreams, this applies to any career dream that you may have. My advice for a person is essentially just, again, to control what you can control. And that's everything. Like, I wish someone had given me that advice when I was, starting this back in 2019, I think it was. I wish someone had given me that, because at the end of the day, if you focus on all the elements that come with it, things that you can't control, again, the negative comments, people's faces when you're performing. Like that's one thing I learned too. When I'm performing up there, I tend to gravitate towards the smiles because some people are just there. Like they can be enjoying it, but they will have the meanest looking face on, like, and you can't control that. So I just, again, just control what you can control. Make sure that music is some sort of stress reliever for you. It shouldn't be something that, you kind of every single day you think about it and you're like, oh, I really don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Like, even if you have a love for music, there's a difference between having love for it, but having a passion for it. Love, I think, like in life, comes and goes. You really can't control that. But I feel like a passion is something that's within you. And if you have a passion for something, like, just let that passion drive you. Everything else will come again, but try to kind of have blinders on and just look forward, because that's all you can do. Really, that's all you can do. You can't control everything. Like, don't try to control everything. Just go forward and just remember why you started this, essentially.
Do you ever have those moments where, like, you are saying, I don't want to do this because of all the challenges and the pressures and all those things?
Oh yeah, I wanted to quit. Like, I wanted to quit probably like 4 or 5 times. Like, there was a point where I sent a goodbye message to my brothers. I was like, I'm done. Like, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I think it was just the stressors of what it comes with, the criticism and everything like that. And just, no, but you know what? It's not the criticism per se of people. It's the criticism that you have for yourself, because people are like, you're a great dancer, you're a great performer. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I look at videos, I'm like, you sure about that? Like, are you lying? So there has been moments where I wanted to quit and I just wanted to be like, you know what, I'm done with this. And those moments have happened like recently even, and it's just, again, it's the battle between you and you. Because, at the end of the day, you can be receiving 100 compliments, but if you don't believe in yourself, then it's really like, there's no benefit. So, yeah.
So do you believe in yourself then?
Now I do. It's funny. Now I honestly do. And this is a joke, but I'm like, I don't think people could be lying to me that much, so I really do. And it's taking me a while to believe in myself, in my potential. And that idea did not spark until one of my vocal teachers, who I've recently started working with. Like, he made me sing that song, Die With a Smile. And I was like, have you heard that range, sir? Like, do you really think that's a good range for me? And then, he made me sing it a cappella, karaoke. And he's like, stop thinking, just do it. He's like, at the end of the day, because he's made me do exercises from like, low ranges to high ranges. And he's like, you've done those exercises, which means you can hit those notes. And then he made me sing it, and I was like, interesting, And so at the end of the day, again, it's a battle between you. And if you don't believe in yourself, no one else is going to, unfortunately. They can give you 100 compliments, but at the end of the day, it's like, you got to believe in yourself. And yesterday too, I'll give you guys a great story. Yesterday, again, for me, I don't know if you know this, Sam, maybe you do know, and now actually you might know, I'm a dancer. I started choreographing since I was 15 for like my own quinceañera, and then afterwards it kind of took off. Singing itself has never been my, I guess, field of comfort, if you will. So that's something that I had to learn how to be comfortable with. And like yesterday, for the first time, as I was singing, I felt comfortable. And again, that goes back to my vocal teacher. He's like, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't just relax and enjoy it, no one else is going to believe, no one else is going to enjoy it, if you will. So yesterday, literally, I want to say I was performing at 2:00 in the morning. So only a couple hours ago, for the first time at age 28, I was like, I am finally comfortable with singing. It took me 5 years, but I did not even think about it. I was just hitting notes and I was like, this is great, So it definitely it's a whole adventure, and I wish I can. You know what? I might do a documentary myself, just to kind of just demonstrate to people. I'm like, it takes a lot of work. It does, and I feel like that applies to any field that you go into. Like if you want to grow, it starts within you to want to do it and just believe in yourself, because it's so lovely to hear my parents and to hear my brothers and even my sister-in-law be like, "Oh my God, you're great." But once you believe it yourself, you're like, oh my God, the opportunities are endless.
You said that, this is a family thing. Your family has been behind you 100%. You've always been with them. Being in a band with brothers, how is that? Because I have two brothers and myself, and that is a very, very hard task. Because we're constantly like at each other's throats, only because we're not that different, but we have different personalities. So how is it being in a band with your brothers?
Oh, it's definitely something else. We all have different personalities as well. Like the oldest one, who's essentially our manager, he's very, he's very not I don't want to say close-minded, but being the firstborn, you're kind of like, Sam, I know you're like nodding your head, because it's kind of like, you got to do what you got to do. It's like you got to do what you got to do. You got to make the tough decisions and stuff like that. And then there's my second oldest brother. He's the pianist. He's very much like, he's very passionate about music. So he's kind of like, I still got to be the leader, but at the same time, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. And then there's me, who's, just trying to, kind of just enjoy the moment as well and just have a good time. And then there's my younger brother, who's the bass player. And he's very much, I love to call him the old soul. He'd be a great person to talk to. By the way, not being biased, but he'd be a great person to talk to. He's a very old soul, and he kind of just keeps us together, if you will. So even though we have different personalities, I think the one thing that has always connected us is music. I grew up in a very strict household. My parents are lovely. They were very strict though with us. I couldn't even go to the corner by myself. Like they're like, no, you got to go with one of your brothers. So very traditional. But it's funny. My brother, actually, the pianist, he was in Ecuador like last week, and he did an interview with a radio station over there. And they asked him, they're like, how did you become, and again, I'm not being biased, but once you see my brother play the piano, you'd be like, who's Doris, because he's very, like, once you see him play the piano, it's like, oh my God, he's in his element. And they asked him, they're like, how did you get to the point where, you've become, a great piano player? And he said it, he's like, my parents were very strict, they didn't let us out to go hang out with friends, nothing. So I had to stay at my house, and thankfully I found the piano, and the same thing applies to all of us, definitely at different levels. He started playing the piano when he was 8. My other brother, who's now the manager, he actually was our drummer at one point. He started playing at a very young age too. I took a while. I was like, nope, this is not for me. But at the end of the day, it's like we always connected with music, so we can literally be at each other's throats, like over the smallest thing, like what color shirt are we gonna wear for tonight? It's like we can literally be discussing. But as soon as we get into the rehearsal room, or as soon as we get into a show, oh, we love each other. We're like, oh, it's over. And that's been something that I think has definitely helped with working with brothers. Again, we're all different personalities, but at the same time, we can argue about something 1 second, and the next second we'll be like, oh, like, how's your day? Like, what's going on? Like, tell me something new. And I think that is definitely something that has helped us stay together without killing each other to this point, and just kind of move towards our goal. So definitely that's something that I think, at the end of the day, yes, we have our fights. Yes, we argue over the silliest things, but we have the same passion, and that's music. Like in this household, if there's no music, there's something wrong. We're all sick. We're all sick if there's no music. Like we are all sick. So yeah, music has definitely, I think, just knowing that we all have a similar goal in life, relating to music, is definitely something that has helped us stick together as siblings, but also now as coworkers, if you will.
Yeah. Who would you say is your biggest inspiration
in music?
Yeah.
I want to say my biggest inspiration, I'm in my room right now and I'm staring right at her, which is why I put her right there, is I have a big poster board of Selena.
I knew it!
No, definitely. She's been and it's funny because I was born in Ecuador and I came here at the age of 5, so I didn't know a speck of English, obviously, coming here. And my dad, at that point, he'd been here for a couple years, and the first song that he showed me ever was Como la Flor by Selena. And at that point, I didn't think much of it. I was like, oh, it's a good song. I was like, oh my God, who is this? Who is this person's, But I feel like as the more I learned about her life, not personal life, because obviously those details will never, I guess, be 100% confirmed, but just kind of the way she portrayed herself and the way her and her family worked together, was very inspiring. And again, it's not like we were trying to imitate them, but it kind of just happened naturally. Besides myself, like my siblings, they really they look up to other artists and stuff like that. It's just mainly me. So it's not like my whole family we're like, oh my God, Selena, like, we want to be like Selena y los Dinos. No, it's just like me personally. Like I love her. I loved her personality, her outlook in life. She was always bubbly and just wanting the best for others. So I feel like that kind of inspired me. But definitely, I learned cumbia because of her. If it wasn't for her, I would not know how to spin. I would not know how to spin. So she's definitely an inspiration in my life.
I had a feeling that she was your inspiration. But going back to the challenges of being in a band, right? What have you learned from those challenges?
Yeah, I think, let me think about that. One of the things that I've learned from being in a band, and I'm going to kind of generalize this in terms of like one thing that I've learned from following your dreams, if you will, is that at the end of the day, again, if you have a passion for it, it's going to benefit you. I actually went to a conference where the keynote speaker, I forgot her name already, but this was like a year ago. But I remember what she said, and she essentially said, she's like, in this world that we live in now, a lot of people have the misconception that you can only have one career. Like, it's kind of like you graduate college and you go into one career and that's all you're going to do for life. Like, or you stay in one field and that's all you're going to do for life. I think in a lot of cases that is true. At that point, she had won a Grammy, she had published a book, and she had started in the banking industry. She had recorded an album that sold out. I'm telling you, I forget her name. Her book is in my office. But she had thrived in multiple careers. And I think with music, it has taught me that it's okay to have another life, if you will. It doesn't just have to be going Monday through Friday to, your job. In a way, it has kind of given me, the inspiration to keep on going. Because again, like I feel like, at certain jobs, including my job, there's only so much I can control there, right? Because it's systematized. You go in, you do what you got to do, and you walk out, But music itself, for me, has taught me that, it benefits you. Like having a passion for something. And I always talk to the students that I work with, and I'm like, if you want to do this, it's great. But once they start talking about like another field that they're interested in, I'm like, oh, good. Like, continue, like, tap into that. Like, yes, have a job, because again, my job pays for my bills. I always joke about this and I tell this to my supervisor, so I don't feel uncomfortable saying this. I'm like, sometimes I believe like this job kind of funds my other job too, and I feel like that is just going to give you like, I don't know, like just a different outlook in life. Like life is too short to just follow one career. It really is too short. Like I feel like, if you have a love for something, like go after it. Like, no one's like, I feel like we put our timeline on ourselves, sometimes in life. And at the end of the day, no one is checking. It's like the thinking, like when you go to the gym, you feel like everyone's staring at you, when in reality, no one's staring at you. Like it's just you and your mind. You're like, everybody's staring at me. I feel uncomfortable. Same thing with life. It's just like, just do what makes you happy. Enjoy it. So I feel like music has taught me that, like, just enjoy life. If I have a passion for something, go for it. Continue to pay your bills, though. That's very important, especially here. Pay your bills, but at the same time, follow your heart as well.
That's how I feel about being in the mental health field. Like I am incredibly passionate about what I do. And when I opened up my own private practice, like I want it to be bigger than just me. And like I want it to be like a whole brand. I want it to like go to different states, because I plan to have my licensure in many different states. Like I just want to send a good message out there. I'm still like figuring it out right now, but like I just know that I want it to just be bigger than me and just bigger than it just being just a private practice. You know what I mean? I want it to go like viral. Like I don't know. Like I'm so passionate about like just getting my messages out there to people. So I understand that. Now you being in a band can be intense, right? Now, so how do you practice self-care or even set boundaries to protect your mental health while being immersed in this environment?
I think one of the main things that I kind of look forward to that helps me kind of, just de-stress myself, even though music is essentially, one of my ways of relieving some stress, focusing on my health too, whether that be, just kind of, just taking care of my body, going to the gym. Like, at first going to the gym was because I'm like, you know what, I want to look a certain way. I want, this and that, but now it's gotten to a point where I'm like, no. I go to the gym because literally after the gym, I feel just so relaxed, even though my body's hurting in pain, but I feel so relaxed, and it's just a way to just relieve stress. One, so that's a gym. One. Two is writing music. And when I say writing music, you might be asking like, all right, Doris, where are these songs? I want to hear them. I don't do it for the purpose of like, releasing songs and be like, all right, make me famous. No. I do it for the intention of just kind of just letting my feelings, putting my feelings on paper. So that's definitely another way that has helped me kind of just deal with life, if you will.
And that's so funny because that's very therapeutic to just write your emotions down like that. So I really admire that you do that. So are you, so I because I'm not very familiar with your band and things, I'm wondering like, is it just based in one state? Are you traveling to do performances? Are you known in different countries? Like tell me it all.
No, definitely. So as of right now, just to give you some stats, so right now, our main platforms are TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. And thankfully, we've been growing a community. Right now, I think we have over 260,000 followers throughout those platforms. And again, I'm like, we're not doing it for that, but thankfully that has come. So thankfully, we have had the opportunities to go, outside of New York, whether it be, states close to it, or, thankfully we've also been flown out for performances as well, like in Minneapolis and Chicago. We're literally starting to think, and this is why my brother actually went to Ecuador. Well, one of the reasons why he went to Ecuador was he wanted to start making connections. He wanted to meet people in the radio industry as well, and kind of, thankfully those people, they know who we are, and they have thankfully presented ideas already of like performances in October and November that are going to be in Ecuador. So that's definitely something that we joke about this all the time. I'm like, my goal is just to go back to my hometown. We have a stage. I was there 2.5 years ago, and I just saw it, and I'm like, I'm coming back here. I'm gonna perform here. After I perform here, I'm good. I'm like, I'm good. That is our goal right now, is to just kind of go back there and just perform in that stage. Like, it's not the biggest stage. Like, we're not talking about Madison Square Garden. Like, that's not why we do this, Obviously, if the opportunity presented itself, we wouldn't be like, no. But for us, it's just kind of like giving back to our community and, kind of the full circle moment. My younger brother tends to be the one to look into the statistics more and the demographics. And thankfully, we have reached, Chile, Argentina, Mexico, España, Uruguay. Sometimes people too from Uruguay, they reach out, and it's crazy because sometimes you're like, wow, you always question yourself. You're like, that's crazy, because our fan base has been growing. Like now, when I go to public places, I went to a local grocery store in Danbury the other day, and this guy, like, he just stopped and he kept on staring at me, and like sometimes I freak out. I'm like, do I have something on my face? Like, why are you staring at me? And he's just like, you're a singer, aren't you? And I was like, yes. Like, I was like, yeah, nice to meet you, and I'm thinking maybe he's Ecuadorian. So then I'm like, oh, nice to meet you. Thank you so much for the support. I'm like, wait, where are you from? He's like, the Dominican Republic. And I'm like, what? So I was like, Cumbia is known there. So, it's growing. It's still weird to get accustomed to that part. But thankfully, and again, we're not doing it for that, you know, we're just doing what we love to do. But thankfully, that has come with it. Definitely getting used to it still. So if you see me in public, just please come up to me automatically and be like, "You're a singer," because if you stand there and you stare, I'm gonna be freaked out. But yeah, it's definitely it's been a wonderful process though, kind of expanding our brand, if you will, to places outside of New York.
Mm-hmm.
And as a Latina woman in a music genre like cumbia, do you feel like you have any unique pressures or expectations that affect your mental health at all?
Yes, yes. So cumbia itself, and I'm gonna take the band outside of Mexico. So because the music industry in Mexico is a little bit different. We mainly play cumbias that are known mainly in South America. So I'm gonna take Ecuador. I'm gonna compare itself to Peru, to Bolivia, and say that a lot of the female bands or bands that have females in them, their outfits are very revealing, you know, and I personally, I cannot see myself in one of those outfits. But again, I see them. I'm like, you do you girl. Like, I'm like, you look great in that outfit. Like, you know, go for it. I personally can't see myself in that. And we've received, especially in the beginning when we were dressing a little bit more, I guess, traditional, if you will. You know, we were wearing like jeans and a top, you know, definitely more covered up. We've definitely received pressures of like, you know, your dresses should be shorter. You should be showing more skin and stuff like that. But, you know, for me personally, like I don't feel the need to do that because I'm like, you know, you shouldn't be coming to a show just to see that. If anything, you know, you should be coming to a show to enjoy the music, to enjoy the performance aspect of it. And I don't feel like I personally need to show more skin than I do right now, you know, to kind of grab your attention. Like it shouldn't be like that. And again, I'm like, listen, every group is different, so I wouldn't be one to go up to, you know, a band that does this and be like, you guys are, you know, you should be ashamed of yourself. So I'm like, no, you do what you got to do. Again, I'm like, I have other things to focus on. But personally, myself, like we've definitely felt that pressure. Like, oh no, you guys should be showing more skin, and the dresses should be shorter, the heels should be taller. And Sam, you already know that the heels are already tall enough.
Oh my God.
Exactly. So it's just like, you know, that has definitely come with the pressures of music, but. Thankfully my siblings and I we have gotten to a point where, you know, we control like essentially like, you know, those aspects of the band, and we've spoken to the girls, and we also, because it's 5 girls in the band, like I have to make sure that we all feel comfortable in our outfits. You know, I'm always mindful, you know, I speak to the girls individually. I'm like, do you feel comfortable? Like if you don't feel comfortable, tell me why you don't feel uncomfortable. And, you know, I kind of try to tweak the outfits a little bit to make sure that we all feel comfortable, because once we feel comfortable, then the things we have to focus on are essentially dancing and singing. We don't have to focus like, oh my God, like I got to pull this down. You know, I got to pull this up. So yeah. Definitely the outfits aspects of music is definitely, you know, you feel a little pressure here and there, especially coming from, you know, Latino fan base.
Yeah, no, I've seen it too. Like not in your band, but just like in different bands, and just seeing them perform. A lot of people, you know, do care about outfits, when in reality they should be caring about the music a little more. Like I see you guys perform. I've seen you perform maybe like 3-4 times
Yeah,
whenever you're
she
around.
never tells me, by the way, that she's coming. They never tell me. They just show up.
Oh
And
yeah.
I love it because I'm like looking up on the public and I'm like, Sam, you know. And
Yeah,
it's
no.
funny because one of the tactics that I joke about now is sometimes when I'm on stage, and I've spoken to other artists, so it's not just me, thankfully. I tend to blur people out. Like, you know, I sometimes see specific people, but I tend to blur people out. So the fact that I noticed you all, you know, in the back, I was like, that's Sam. But I was like, Sam, you know, I didn't expect you. So she surprises me. She never tells me when she's coming to shows.
No, yeah, especially like if they're close by, where like we all talk in our friend group and we're just like, should we go? We're gonna go. Okay, we're not gonna tell her. We're just gonna show up. Mostly because like we don't want to freak you out in case of anything, especially like in the beginning where like we know this is like a huge thing for her. We don't want her to like focus on us being there, especially like if she's like really nervous. So that was always like our mentality behind it. And I remember this one time when you were performing, we were literally like right in front of you and you did not notice at all. So that was the funny. I think your brother pointed us out to you and you were just like, wait, what?
It's I've had people tell me and not tell me like they're coming. And I remember one time my supervisor actually came. She's like, "I want to support you." And she's married to an Ecuadorian. She's Irish, I believe. And she came. She's like, "I'm going." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Oh my God, this is a little." Because I always, this is funny. I always try to kind of keep, the balance again. I'm like, yes, you should know I'm in a band. Yes, you should know this is what I'm doing in the weekends. But at the same time, that's that life, and I want to stick to this life. I want to keep them a little bit separate. That has become a little trickier now because I am working with a Latino population, and a lot of them are Ecuadorians. I'm like, all right. People sometimes they come into my office and they're like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "I have a job outside of music." But my supervisor came one time, and she's like, she texted me. She's like, "Doris, I'm here," and I was like, "Great." Did not see her the entire show. Did not see her. And she's like, at one point, Doris, you pointed at me. And I was like, oh my God. But I tend to do that. I don't know if it's a tactic, kind of, again, growing up with really bad stage fright that I still do. But I've spoken to other artists, and they're like, it can be that. But at the same time, it's just, you're in your element at that point. You're not really focusing. I have gotten better at that. Now I intentionally look at people and I smile. That has happened so many times, Sam. It's not even funny. I can't even tell you how many times it's happened, right? Literally, don't even see people.
No, but hey, I mean, regardless of the thing, the fact that, you're doing what you love, you're enjoying yourself, and you're not really focusing on who's there, you're just, focused on what it is that you need to do, that also shows your dedication, and it also demonstrates how professional you are in that aspect, because I feel like if I were in your shoes, if I were to see my friends out and about, like even my family, I would freeze. And actually that did happen one time. I was 5. My mom put me in a ballet class, and it was just a performance for the parents. And I remember, like, we were supposed to dress up like little clowns, like we had clown makeup. It was cute. We had to like come out of a box. I came out of the box, saw my parents, ran to them. I didn't do the performance. And so I was like, I feel like that would still be a thing now, especially like if I was in your position. But you know what? Kudos to you. I am so happy for you.
Always, for any inspiring musician out there, or just, whoever wants to get into kind of like the music industry, I always, say and I'm only coming from 5 years of experience being in this world of music. Just kind of just follow your heart, just follow your passion, and just do it because you really want to do it, and the rest will come. Don't do it because you want to get famous. Don't do it because you want to get the money, the house, the cars. I'm like, no, because unfortunately, especially in the music industry, it's definitely, it's a roller coaster. Sometimes we're like, oh my God, like, Sony Music, sign us up now. We are high. We're up here. And then sometimes we go to a performance and people are like, 2 people clap. So it's definitely a high and low. Sometimes we go to shows for free. And so you can't do it because of the money, because money is not stable when it comes to the music industry, especially if you're just starting. You can't do it for the popularity or the fame, because you might put yourself in front of an audience that really does not know who you are. And you can't base it off of, oh my God, are they loving our music? Are they not loving our music? Like, do we, are we not good? You can't base it off of that as well. You really have to do it because you want to do it. And I think that applies to anybody in any career.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And Doris, now, I'm going to ask you the last question.
Okay.
Where's your mental health at today on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being the best. And if it's not at the best, like, what are you doing to address that?
Oh, that's a great question. I love this. Today, I think it's March 2nd. I want to say my mental health is probably at a 6 right now. Like right now. And I want to, be honest and transparent with you guys. I obviously have my days where I'm like, I can conquer the world. And maybe it's the fact that I'm deprived of some sleep. But I think right now, like I said, we're going through a transition with the band, where it's going from less of a hobby to more of a business. And, of course, what I'm doing for the band now, I do for my job, but it's like, it's a different I don't know, it's a different world, if you will. But now that I'm doing this for the band, it's a lot of learning, a lot of getting out of my comfort zone. It's like starting a new job. Like you don't know what you're doing, but you got hired for it. So it's definitely, my mental health right now, I would say, is at 6, just because I'm still kind of figuring things out right now. Like, okay, how do I balance, being in the office and focusing obviously on my 9 to 5 job, but now putting some time to focus on music. And then from like 7 to 9, I focus on business aspects of the music, world. So right now, I think I'm at a 6 because I'm just figuring stuff out still. I still have my ways of coping with it, like, stress and stuff like that. I'm going to the gym more often. If I don't have a 6-pack by this summer, I don't know what else to do. I've been going to the gym so much because I'm like, I need this. So tomorrow I might be at an 8, which I think, would be a great way to start my week. But yeah, to be transparent with both of you, that's where I am right now.
I can't even imagine the anxiety of just the fact that it's turning into like a whole business now. I wonder if it's even hard to like turn off like the business aspect mentality and then like to go to like family and just focusing on just the family rather than the business, you know what I mean? And I hope that the more you, which I absolutely wish for you, that you guys get bigger, and I just hope that the more you guys get bigger, it doesn't create conflict in the family, because that, I feel like that would be my biggest fear if I was in your shoes too. Thank you so much for taking the time, because especially since you performed last night, oh my God, I can't even imagine how dead you feel right now. But thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience and being so real with us. It truly does mean a lot, and I applaud you and thank you so much.
No, thank you to both of you, just for taking the time to listen to me. I appreciate it. I know sometimes I tend to talk. My dad always jokes about it. He's like, you belong in a radio station because you can't shut up. So, that's definitely something I'm looking forward to. That's another goal too, a small goal, but that's in the future. But
you're meant for it. You're meant for it, because like the way you talk and just like your personality, you're absolutely meant for this.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ashley. I'm gonna put that in the back of my mind. I appreciated it. And again, like, thank you so much for giving me the platform to kind of just, talk about it. Because I feel like a lot of people, there's a line. It's like you're either a starting musician or you are selling out arenas, but no one really talks about the middle part of it, where it's like you're not a beginner anymore, but you're also not like, I'm not selling out arenas, or that's not my full-time job yet. There's definitely a middle ground there, and I feel like no one really talks about the struggle of it, the highs and the lows of it. So thank you for giving me the platform to do that, even for a short moment. I appreciate it. To you, Ashley, and to you, Sam, as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And before we go, please plug in like your social media, where people can find you, where people can listen to your music, because honestly, I've heard it. It's amazing, and people should know more about it.
No, definitely. I mean, personally, myself, if you want to follow me and all my craziness that I'm up to, you can follow me and find me as Doris, and then my second name is Marisela, so that's Marisela. You can find me on any social media platform like that, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. I'm mainly, more crazy on TikTok and Facebook. So if you guys want to follow me there and just follow me day-to-day basis, you can follow me there. But also for the band, The Boys chose a great name, but I'm like, come on, boys, it's a little hard to say and a little hard for people to understand who are not Spanish speaking. It's called Los Reyes del Austro, so that translates to the Kings of Austro. So if you want to look us up, we're on any social media platform. We appreciate if you subscribe and kind of just follow along on this crazy journey that we have chosen to be a part of. Yes, I say now chosen to be a part of. And just thank you so much for the support. And, again, always remember to follow your heart. That's it. That's going to be my main message today. Follow your heart and just, live life. Life is too short to focus on things that we can't control. So just focus on what you can control.
Mm-hmm. Period. All right, yes. Everybody. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, share this with your friends and family. Leave us a comment. You can listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Therapists Unmasked. And you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok, Therapists_Unmasked. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.